Welcome, Joystick Justice League, to Roundtable 5. We're calling this one The Physical Barriers to a Digital Future. I'm Mike Frucios.
I'm Joe Morin.
And I'm Jay Couture.
Jay Couture of Recoil Gaming. So he's joining us again, pretty much a regular participant on this show. What's new with Recoil Gaming there, Jay?
Just more behind-the-scenes stuff, boosting the YouTube channel, getting some more viewers in there, getting ready to do some streaming again, hopefully tonight, and that's pretty much where we're at.
What do you think about streaming?
Diablo 3 again. Just
Nice.
more of the campaign. Maybe some Plague Inc. just for fun. Maybe some Civilization 5, and then I was thinking of doing a 3D one again tonight. Maybe continue some of that Mass Effect 3 Insanity run.
Nice.
Cool. So if you're on Twitch TV, you can check out Jay's stream at Recoil Gaming, all one word, on Twitch, and you can also see the archive broadcasts at Recoil Gaming Network on YouTube. So getting into Roundtable today, big issue that's ongoing. The argument about the digital future for video gaming that EA is trying to promote, that Microsoft's trying to promote, PlayStation's getting into the circle, and of course Steam is really at the nexus of it all. So what is really one of the issues with this, Joe? Like why has this got some people concerned?
Well, it's got some people concerned because I think a lot of us gamers that have been around for a long time, a lot of us still like to have physical copies of the games that we're playing, and for people who especially like to collect, say like the collector's editions, for example, which I particularly like to do. That's something when it comes to digital distribution is going to be basically impossible to do.
Jay?
See, from my perspective is a little bit different on it. I actually enjoy the digital distribution. Steam, I have a library of 153 games. I have no idea where I'd store 153 discs. It's a big deal now.
You can build a new wing, Jay. Like, come on, you got the budget for this.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, and it allows me to share these games with kids when they're at their mom's. It's more convenient for me without them hauling shit back and forth.
Yeah, it kind of gets rid of those days. I remember growing up as a kid, you'd fill up your backpack or maybe like a hockey bag full of your games because you had like 30 of them, and you didn't want to pick which ones to take over to your buddy's house for the sleepover, so you just bring them all, and everybody's just looking at you funny because you've got all these, like, this plastic in the living room just taking up space. It's true, man. I mean, it's hard to store this stuff. I am a collector to a degree, not a hardcore one, but my collection has been building up in the last few years since I decided to stop getting rid of games that I liked. That was really, for me, like when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, when I got back into collecting, because at that point I was used to trading up games for new consoles, and that was one where it was just, I knew it was just such an important piece of history that I didn't want to ever get rid of it. Like, I always, like, there was like an emotional attachment to that thing, and that's what I think what's really going to happen once the digital only future, if that ever comes to be. I'm still on the fence about it, but yeah, I mean, I think collectors, people who like to own something, are going to be the losers in the end.
Yeah, true. Because it's like, especially with a lot of these collector's editions, they come with statues and little kind of collectibles, and repeating myself, but with a digital copy, I mean, all you're getting is the game, and that's virtually it. Or you get some DLC and whatnot, but you don't get like the big boxes that come with it and the statues and whatnot, right? So that's something that will, with this slowly becoming more of the mainstream, that's going to start to go away, unfortunately.
Yep. I mean, we're going to really be dissecting everything, all these issues that Joe and myself are talking about right now, but one more I really want to touch upon as our kind of overview is the fact that the retailers, man, are really going to suffer as this continues to evolve. I mean, they already are. I mean, I'm seeing it in my own city. Best Buy is virtually stocking nothing anymore in terms of Blu-ray movies, CDs, and especially video games now. They're not restocking these older titles anymore. They're trying to clear out those shelves, trying to do fire sales. It's not looking good.
And it's also going to kill the used game market for physical copies.
Oh, yeah.
Which already had been threatened, as we remember, last E3, before the no DRM 180 move on Microsoft's part.
Yeah. Yep.
So, before we kind of dissect these issues, let's look at where this came from. To really understand where this phenomenon is going, you really got, as always, look at the history. So,
Yes.
Jay and Joe, I'll pass this to you, Jay. Like, when did we really start to see this start to happen, in your opinion?
I think we started to see it, like on PC many years ago. Like we were already used to having to get download patches and stuff like that for games. So we had a digital distribution method that way, with getting our game updates. I remember playing the original Doom and having 1.666 edition, which I had to go download from a BBS who got it at that time from the internet.
I like the multiple use of sixes there, that just in relation to the subject
I
matter.
know.
That's kind of
it was all about getting the latest updates so you could play with your buddies and stuff, but it was done, on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. This. Oh, sorry, Joe. You were going to say something there.
And when it comes to, I think one of the games that we could kind of point the finger at that kind of started this would be, I think, Half-Life 2.
Yes.
Which was to the best of my knowledge on PC, was one of the as far as I know, the first game that not only required you to activate the game online, but you had to, even though you were playing single player, you had to have a persistent online connection.
What do you think about that, Jay? Like the whole idea of being always online?
I never used to be a big fan of it, especially when Half-Life 2 came out. I got the collector's edition and got stuck having to activate online at the time. For me, my connection's always up anyway. It's not really too big of an issue for me, but, I'm living in the city now. Now, when I lived in the country, getting high-speed internet was hard as is, and, paying for it to stay connected, you didn't get much in the way of bandwidth, so, it was costly and whatnot, so we used to shut it off, and we used to lose internet a lot out there as well. So what are you supposed to do when the internet goes down?
And there was a period of me for a good couple of years where I didn't have an online connection. So not only was I missing out on some of these digitally distributed games, but doing online multiplayer, I couldn't do it. And I think that there are still some console users that aren't always connected.
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, right now, if you look at the stats of PlayStation Plus membership, it's I think like in the range of 50 to 60%. It's not completely all there. There are people who are just satisfied with buying boxed games at retail and playing those and unfortunately to their detriment, because some of these games do have to require patches to get up to working mode. So I do see it as one of the benefits of digital distribution. It's easier to evolve the game. But, let's look at you guys mentioned being out in the country, how hard it is to get infrastructure out there. That's a problem in more areas of the world than we realize. I mean, the infrastructure just really isn't there, in my opinion, across the board, across the globe, to support this digital-only future that EA and Microsoft especially are trying to push for. They're really trying to fast-track this, especially now with the rumors that the Xbox One, in order to start spur sales, they might actually come out with a discless version. At this point, they've said, no, we're not planning on that, but I could see them flip-flopping on that because, they think that they don't need Blu-rays as installation devices, where I argue, yes, especially in Canada, where we pay out the ass for our internet connection, to ask me to go get Destiny, which I can see being like 100 gigs, maybe 80 gigs, something like that, to download that on like the night it comes out, to maybe take like half a day if I have a slow internet connection, maybe a whole day to download that thing. Some people, I know unlimited packages are becoming a common thing now, but still not everybody has unlimited amounts of data that they can pay, that they can do every month. And I think having a Blu-ray, at least as an installation device, is just the right thing for the time period we live in right now.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And one game recently, I'm thinking back of a more recent example of some of this, is that when Skyrim came out, I got it for PS3, and at the time I didn't have an internet connection. And as we all know, though, there were some bugs and some early issues with that game, and especially with the PS3 version, when it came to your save files. They patched this later on, but it was like the bigger your save file got, it got to the point where it basically made the game unplayable for me the further that I progressed, and that couldn't be fixed unless I was online and could download that patch.
Right, because the buffer for Skyrim would hit a wall, and the problem with that is that when Skyrim came out, a lot of people were still running it on first generation PS3s without a hard drive upgrade. Which, you only have so much, you have so many gigabytes in your hard drive. Yeah, that buffer's going to hit a wall. It's kind of like a balloon hits a wall and it can't expand anymore, and it pops. And that's what happened with Skyrim. It would start to suffer issues. Whereas me, I didn't get 100 hours into it, but I never had a problem with Skyrim. Never, because I had that 500 gig hard drive.
Exactly.
And I think, Joe, that what you've done is you've addressed another problem with a digital-only future is space limitations, okay?
Yes.
I can't store every game, and then because I have to leave some games in my archive, I forget what I have over time.
Yeah, I ran into the same issue with Xbox. I've got a huge digital library on there, and yeah, the maximum size on the 360 when I got it was 250 gig. I can't even fit half my games on there, so you delete them, and you don't actually get a catalog of what games you own. You gotta pretty much hope you run into it.
That was interesting you bring up the 360, because when I first got into the 7th generation, I got a 360. But I got the 360 that didn't come with a hard drive. I got the 360 that came with I think it was a 256 meg memory card.
Oh you
my
got the
God.
arcade edition. You got the Xbox Arcade Edition.
I got the arcade edition, and I got screwed on that. I couldn't store anything.
I knew there was something wrong with that. The price, I'm like, yeah, it's always the memory that takes the hit, right? You saw that with what was it, the Red Wii that came out in Canada or whatever, that was just like featureless. And that's a big problem, especially with getting the PS Vita running as a viable platform. There's not much you can store on there. These games are big, okay? A lot of these games are on average 2 gigs, 1 gig, 1 gig and a half. I mean, that little 32 gig card that you have doesn't store even half the stuff that you get off PlayStation Plus. So again, it almost makes it ineffective because, like I said, I start forgetting certain games that I have, and I'm not playing them, I'm not rating them, I'm not sharing them because they're stuck somewhere in my archive. Thankfully with the PS3 and now with the PS4, its upgradability, you can do that. But in terms of what one of you guys addresses it in the sense that you don't really have like an easy to see library that shows you everything you have at a glance. The PS4 is starting to change that now, where you actually go into the library function and it has a nice tiled grid that doesn't show you so it won't separate, say, your Call of Duty game from your Call of Duty DLC. It's all under one icon, so you can just easily scale through the 50 to 100 titles you have. They're getting to that point. They really need to make indexing more of a thing. How do you find that on PC, Jay, with Steam?
It's great. I mean, you have the option to show what you have installed and everything that you own, and it's nice because you know what, a lot of times I'll just click on everything I own, and if I want to play something I haven't played in a while, and look down the list, there it is, install it, I'm good to go.
Yeah, Steam's really good. Steam is really good for that. I mean, they even tracks of like how many minutes or how many hours that you've been playing the game, and compared to other players on Steam that are playing the same games, it's Steam has some really cool features when it comes to that.
Yeah, and what I like is that we're getting into some of the advantages, because people are always talking about the disadvantages of taking away physical titles, but really, if this is something we're inevitably headed towards, and I really do see it as inevitability. I think with PlayStation Now being announced, I think that kind of signaled to the whole industry where this is going. But anyway, digital only. Let's talk about some advantages here. Number one is price. We're starting to see this, okay? It's not quite there yet in terms of getting rid of overhead, store employees, window dressing, advertising, flyers, electricity, space, cost of renting a warehouse, whatever you need to do. It's a direct relationship between publisher, middleman, which is Steam, and then the player. So you're starting to see the prices come down with the Steam daily deals.
I was just going to say the same thing. On a regular basis, Steam has some excellent discounts on not just mediocre games, on some of the top games and some of the most popular games. They regularly have sales where it's up to 70-80% off sometimes. Yep.
Yeah, there's the holiday sale that pretty much nobody misses. Which changes every day. You get new deals every day, and they've got a summer one. I think an autumn one. It's always worth checking out.
Dude, it's such a sinister type of sale. It's like it's right before the holidays where you're supposed to be spending money on everybody else, but it's like, oh, okay, so it's day one of the Steam sale. Oh, okay, what else can I eliminate from my grocery list to compensate for this fucking game right now?
But Steam allows you to gift games.
Yes.
True.
And I did that at Christmas time. I actually used that function, so it worked out good for me.
Yep.
I think this is a cool idea of where digital distribution is headed, and the digital future of video gaming is what you just said, gifting games and being able to buy games in bulk. So for instance, you have a buddy, maybe 3 other buddies who want to play Borderlands 2 with you. I think you can possibly buy a 4-player discounted deal, right? Like a 4-pack, which I think is awesome, and I really want to see PSN and XBLA start to adopt that.
That's one feature that actually on our show when we do our Battle Arena games, when it comes to first time having to find new games, this is something that actually people like us can make a real use of. Is that we can get a deal out of that game and do an episode of that.
Yeah, we can both stream it. We can both play it online. We don't have to both individually buy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'd say the problem is that, PSN and XBLA, let's call you out for a second, both of you. You guys have to wake up to what we're saying here is that, yes, you are now eliminating overhead. You are eliminating packaging costs, shipping costs. So why, goddammit, why is South Park Stick of Truth $59.99 on digital? That makes little sense to me whatsoever.
Yep.
I totally agree. When I went and got the Mass Effect trilogy, I think I told you guys before, I went and got the Mass Effect trilogy on PSN because I want to go to the store and I wanted to just, complete my collection. And I ended up getting the trilogy, downloaded it, and compared the two editions, and pretty much everything is the same except I don't get any of the collector's items. True. But I had to pay the same price.
Yeah. You just mentioned a great idea, Joe. I'd say you made a good decision, even though you think it was a bad one. Let's talk about a game that came out free for Plus recently that kind of had you miffed, and then I was like, no, I think you won out on this one. Explain why, Joe.
Tomb Raider, and to the best of my knowledge, I mean
for PS3,
for PS3 this month, a free game on PSN, but doesn't come with a lot of the because I bought I believe it's the premium or the Game of the Year edition digitally. I got all the DLC, and I'm not 100% sure, but don't quote me on this. But I don't think that the free version this month comes with any of that. So
no, it's just the bare bones games. The Plus games never come with the DLC. It's an excuse to get people to buy DLC. That's pretty much what it is. You get a taste of it.
Now that we've shifted gears to kind of some of the negative stuff, I want to point out I want to bring up something here, and that is a game that came out during the PlayStation Network blackout in 2011, and that's SOCOM 4.
Yes. Okay. So you just mentioned something that is a big problem with what I see with the digital only, always online environment. Yes, it's cool, but that, like what you just said, Joe, in 2011, the PlayStation Network went out for 30 days. So basically, you couldn't play anything online, and if you didn't have any games on disc, or installed on your hard drive, you were screwed. So any games that were in your archive that you didn't have downloaded on your hard drive, if you're a digital only person, you didn't have access for a whole month. And it's not that we knew it was going to be a month. We didn't know how long it was going to be. We were just lucky that it was only a month. But like you said, Joe, SOCOM 4, among many titles, paid the price during that period.
Yeah,
it's designed as an online game. Nobody plays that for a campaign.
No, and it was arguably a pretty darn good multiplayer game, but it got lost in the shuffle because it's they happened to come out just before that blackout, and they really suffered because of that. And also remember from that time too is that there were so many online Call of Duty players that they were just bitching for the whole month. Especially with I think it was Black Ops. I mean, there's so many people bitching, complaining about not playing the multiplayer. I was like, why don't you play some of the single player? The single player in Black Ops was actually not too bad.
Yep.
And they were like, I only play Call of Duty for the multiplayer. You know what? I can't win this conversation because you guys only want to play multiplayer. You're just gonna have to friggin' wait.
It's funny that it didn't encourage. I'm wondering if periods like that would encourage couch co-op. But I mean, it's funny. The whole industry, the PlayStation side of the industry, suffered during that period. It wasn't just SOCOM. I remember Rayman Origins and Portal 2 also came out right before the blackout, and because again at that point, everybody was pushing the digital distribution system. It was the whole cool thing to do. Nobody was going to buy discs at Best Buy other than the collectors. So again, without access to the PSN store or the Xbox, but PSN only, those titles again got lost in the shuffle. Nobody knew about Rayman Origins until really Rayman Legends came out, and like you said, Portal 2 had its following, but I think could have been much more popular in the mainstream if your casual PSN only people had a chance to play it.
One of the most glaring examples of this, and this is more recent now, when the new Sim City came out.
Oh God,
that was a huge fit. When they launched that, they were not prepared to take that game online, and that was there were so many people that were waiting for that game for so long, and they just couldn't do online at all.
Yeah, they've recently announced in an upcoming patch they're actually going to add an offline mode to the game, which they previously said was absolutely impossible to do.
Yep.
That would change the whole nature of the game, because again, it was a lofty experiment. I think it worked against them in a couple of ways, actually, because again, just having too much faith in a system with very little integrity at this point, still very new, the infrastructure, and again, it showed, like, that basically destroyed the Metacritic score for SimCity, the experience of it. People were pissed off, I remember, like, what was it, last January, February, when they just couldn't get the system to work, and then even more recent than that, Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
What a disaster! What a disaster for EA. I'm sorry. Like, I know Battlefield 4's got its fans. I think it's a great game technically, but the online issues, I stopped playing it. I'm just like, this is so hard to join lobbies, and I know that, depending on your infrastructure, you'll probably have a better experience, but then you'll also have people on your friends list who don't have maybe the same infrastructure, who are getting booted out of lobbies. We saw this with Max Payne 3 on PS3. Just... again, having too much faith in the system, it's dangerous. I'm wondering how Titanfall is going to go next week. I really am interested to see how EA is going to handle Titanfall after their fuck up with SimCity and Battlefield 4. Can they get it right with Titanfall? What do you think, Jay?
I don't think they're going to be able to do it at all. So, you know what? They've already got your money. And now they've got a lot of companies, or a lot of game stores now, they don't take refunds on open packages. So, yeah, I don't really think they care. I don't think they're ready. It'd be nice if I was wrong, but I really don't think so. I mean, they've got the PC, they got the PS3, they have the Xbox. They're all going to be tapping in to those servers. I can't see it going well at all.
Yeah. While we're on EA, let's talk about Origin.
Yes, Origin,
let's
the
talk
most useless thing that nobody wants. Like, come on, man. Like, here's the thing, man. My opinion, just from an outsider, I'm not a hardcore PC gamer, but Steam is the thing that unites everybody that I know who is a PC gamer. That's their community. That's how they chat. That's how they measure their reputation. Which is something I also want to get into really quickly. Again, I just want to mention this really quickly before we get back into this. It's just that during that blackout, you also couldn't achieve trophies on your game. So I was stuck playing non-trophy games.
Yep.
But anyway, getting back to that, Steam really is the platform that people should be using. Why EA has to impose this second social network is beyond me. It's confusing. It's so hard to get set up for Origin. I've had problems with it.
So I'm curious with Titanfall and with Origin, like we were just saying, is that going to be a successful launch? I'm concerned about that one because I mean that's a highly anticipated game, right?
Have you had much experience with Origin, Jay?
Yeah, I've had a bit. I've bought a few games through there. The buying experience is fine. I don't like their overlay. But I think it's just a way for EA to control the prices on their games. There's never any good deals on there.
No, it's the last place you look for a deal.
Like, I think I got SimCity 30% off, and that was the best deal I've ever seen on there.
That was essentially a fire sale anyway, just to recoup costs.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible service.
Yep.
That's the thing, man. It's like, like getting back to the, almost kind of flip-flopping back to the advantages again. It's just the idea of that you can cut costs on Steam, and that's really why it's taken off. Those sales are really drove Steam home onto PCs and onto Macs. It's just the idea of the cost factor.
And it's one of the most attractive platforms for independent developers. I mean, you see more of that on Steam than and a lot of them they're put up in the forefront right alongside the AAA games.
Yep.
It really are. I'm going to say right now, I think it's the best. We have these independent developers to distribute their games. That's what I think.
And you know what? Though Ubisoft has done the same thing too. They have their own Uplay. We totally forgot about that. Where you can buy games and whatnot as well. So it seems to be publishers are trying to do this, but I really don't think it's gonna take the cake over. Yeah,
because they're seeing that the success of Steam, and I think that they're trying to tap into that a little bit. And I just don't. They don't have the experience, right?
And they don't have the reach. I mean, Steam is platform agnostic, is game agnostic. It's just a massive community you're trying to take people away from, and that's the thing with Uplay. The only reason I use Uplay is to unlock in-game rewards. Other than that, I don't have a friends list. I don't care because I'm not going to manage all these different social networks. Most people I know who game are on Steam. That's it. Yep. I don't need Origin. But that's the thing, it's like then you have more passwords, you have more friends list. It's just, it takes away from it all being a unified experience, So, kudos to the competition, but I think EA should just concentrate on making games and, and possibly recoup some of their costs by doing a bit of a sale on Steam once in a while, maybe show some goodwill to all the people who think that they're just a bunch of greedy bastards. So, I mean, while we're talking about disadvantages to eliminating physical media, let's talk about, retailers. And why is it important that we have retailers, guys?
For me, it comes to, like, especially the store I go to, Microplay. It's kind of the experience in going and buying a game like that, and especially the midnight launches are a really good example of this. When you go there, you're lining up for a game, you're talking to other gamers, and then you're going in, and you're in the store that I go to, you're talking to knowledgeable people about this. It's just for me, it's about the buying experience. That's what I enjoy.
You see, I enjoy going in there and just flipping through the games. I mean, I like looking at the cover art, and a lot of times I've run into games that I never ever would have found digitally, to buy. And you know what I mean? They're always on sale. Get a pre-owned copy, give it a shot, spend $4, and give it a try. You don't get that digitally.
No,
man. It's like some of the best like mom and pop game shops. It's like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. It's like you got your regulars that come in there, and they're always talking about politics and the upcoming games and which console's better. And then you got there's a vibrancy, like especially when I went on that road trip for the NES Club, and I went to a lot of these like independent retailers in the States. I mean, it's a big scene over there. Like I asked them all, like. Do you notice that retro game sales are going up? They're like, yeah, like these kids that were born in the 90s and the 2000s, these millennials are starting to grow up. They're starting to appreciate the history of this medium they love, and they want to know like where it came from. So now it's crazy to go into one of these stores and see a 10-year-old clutching a cartridge of Zelda 2 for the NES, like looking at it like he can't wait to get home and just pop it in his NES and play that shit because he's played the GameCube version, he's played the Wii version, and he's developed a love for that franchise, for that oeuvre that Nintendo's created, where it really goes beyond just being video games and part of your life, part of the culture. I see that coming back, man. People, yes, the digital allure in the iPod era and not buying CDs, it was cool having everything at your fingertips, but like you said, Jay, there's something about just sometimes not buying anything. Just going into a store and flipping through games like, oh yeah, I remember that game from 10 years ago. I think I'm going to go home and pop that in again. I haven't played that in a long time. Or wow, I didn't realize this was on the PlayStation 1. I'm going to pick this up. It really, again, accelerates the creation of this history, which I think eventually we're going to lose. Review Tech brought this up. In 20 years, are people going to be able to like pop in a copy of Titanfall and play that if say Xbox doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. And like I was telling you guys before, they've shut down the original Xbox network. How long are they going to, keep the Xbox 360 community going?
Well, they've done better than they have the first time, but I mean, we'll see how long it takes for them to kill it again. But it's I think it would be a bad move to do it too soon, because I mean the 360 community is still pretty big.
Well, I just think of all the money I've invested in my digital purchases.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I own so much on there, and
map packs, DLC. Yeah. Like think about Borderlands, think about Call of Duty, think about Battlefield. Like all the money we spent on those games, and think about this too, right? Say you're a hardcore Call of Duty fan, which you're gonna have like games, like even though not all the games are great, I still remember that each game had its own specific maps that were like memorable and that I would love to play again with my friends. When that Xbox 360 network goes down, is Microsoft going to have something like PlayStation Now to get these games back out? Are you ever going to be able to play Black Ops, the first Black Ops again? Maybe not. I don't know, unless you're doing a local couch co-op, but online with your friends, can't do it again, man.
So what they should maybe look into is once they do decide to kill Xbox Live for 360, is maybe offer some type of deal. We've seen this a little bit with the start of the 8th generation, where certain titles were offering kind of like if you bought the say the PS3 or the Xbox version, that you could upgrade and get, unfortunately, just a digital copy of the game for. I think it was for $10. So it was kind of like an idea of kind of like trading up, sort of.
Honestly, I think that was more the exception than the rule. I think that was a way to get PS4s out and 3 Xbox Ones out the door. Like we're already seeing developers thumbing their nose at it. They're like, Rayman Legends, no, nothing. We're going to discount the game, but you're not going to be able to trade up for it. Injustice, same thing. Buy it again. Tomb Raider was the worst example. $60.
Yeah.
Not even discounted, just a graphical upgrade. So, these people want to make money. They're already giving you enough free stuff in their opinion on PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold deals or whatever, or Steam deals. They're not going to give you any more than they need to have. So I think that, I don't know if that would be a trend.
Well, it would be nice if, like we got some backwards compatibility. I mean, that was the big issue with this generation of consoles was that we had no backwards compatibility. If they put in the backwards compatibility, then those games from the previous generation, which are locked to your account, should easily just transfer over. You'd think. Yeah,
the PS3 did it for a short time. I think that there are probably still a handful of people that have those backwards compatible PS3s, but I mean they are extremely rare. So
think about this hypothetically too, and look at it for somebody like me, for instance. Like, let's just assume that you could play Borderlands 2 on backwards compatibly on the Xbox One for the 360 version. That means that somebody, say 5 years down the line, who didn't hear about Borderlands, who now got into the franchise and wants to go buy some of that DLC, well, it's only encouraging further sales of DLC down the road. Hey, I bought DLC for Oblivion like 2 years after that game came out. Did they expect that they'd be selling DLC 2 years down the road? No. So that's again another argument for backwards compatibility, and especially with what happened in the 7th generation. There's so many firsts, DLC and reputation, so many things that need to be poured over. And I think PlayStation's getting there with the whole rumor that PS1 and PS2 emulation's coming to PS4.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, promotion of back catalog, we'll see what happens. More disadvantages to eliminating physical media. Like, why do we want physical media to stay, guys?
Oh, because it's nice to have something to hold on to. Like, especially when you get those collector's editions. Like Joe was saying earlier, you get statues, you get cloth maps, you get all sorts of stuff, art books, and you don't get that with the digital editions.
You get value. You get value that you can... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
You read my mind. You get that value with all the stuff that you get with it. It's just you got something tangible to look at and to hold on to.
And not only the emotional value, but let's just put it out there. I hate talking about investments in relation to video game, but yes, these are an investment. Yes. I mean, if you bought that Last of Us Ultimate Collector's Edition, that thing's worth almost $1,000 now.
Yeah.
Like, I was looking at my Ghostbusters, the video game for PS3, the one that actually had all the guys come do the voices, and it was basically like Ghostbusters 3. That's basically what it was. Yeah. That thing is asking $120 right now for a used copy on an Xbox 360 and PS3. Rock Band 3 on PS3, it starts at $70.
Wow.
So now, it's like that's only within like a few years of owning these games. Imagine 20, 30 years from now. Like a collector, if I'm in a jam, I've got stuff. I don't have jewelry, I don't have gold, but I have games that are worth some money. I've got old NES cards, and those might come in handy someday.
Yeah, it's just like when we were kids collecting baseball cards. It's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
And that's something that when it comes to digital games, and actually before we started recording this episode, Mike pointed out an interesting article to us that over in Europe, they're looking at the possibility of trading in some of these digital games.
Yeah, they've started passing new legislation that would potentially allow Steam users to resell their games, which is again prohibited over here in North America, but could soon become a reality in Europe. What do you think about that, Jay?
I think that'd be an absolutely great idea. I got lots of games that I don't play anymore. And
oh yeah, you buy something on a whim on a Steam sale.
Yeah, like why can't I throw it up on the Steam Marketplace like I can the trading cards? Get some money for it and put it towards another purchase on Steam. The money just gets spent right back into the system. I don't understand why we can't have that over here.
Yeah, there's such this negative attitude towards the used game market. I love the fact that I can trade old games that I don't really feel that I need to preserve in my collection, but I enjoyed them for their time, and now I can trade them in for something else that, you know, might spark my imagination and make an enjoyable experience. I love the fact that I can take my disc and bring it over to your house and put it in your thing and put it in your console and play. You know, which you just can't do with a digital file. There's that sharing, the community aspect, I think, which you lose with the digital only market. So I don't know if it's ever going to disappear. I think digital only probably will become like the thing in like maybe the PS5 generation. But at this point, like you were saying, like, you know, these games are getting bigger in size. Okay, these 8th gen games are starting at like 40 gigs, 50 gigs a piece. It won't take long before they're clocking out at 100, 120. How are you going to realistically deliver that experience, or even store it? Are you going to be able to store those massive games on your Xbox One hard drive or your PS4? Are you going to have to keep buying new hard drives? No, I want to be able to play something off of Blu-ray. And I think that's where the Xbox One slipped up, is that it can't play the games off Blu-ray, at least till my knowledge.
And the bigger the files get, you know, you're going to have to, and this is kind of going back to in some of the older PC games, when I would go and buy a new PC game, I would have to put the disc in and sit there and wait for it to install.
Yep.
Right, and now the files are getting bigger and bandwidths aren't increasing. You're just going to have to cash in your code, start downloading, and then just walk away and go to the coffee shop and then come back and play your game. You can't just, you know, with the disc games, the files are fairly small. You can put it in, have a short install time, and then get right into playing it. The bigger these games get and the bigger the files get, you're not going to be able to hop right into the experience.
No, nobody's going to go over to their buddy's place and be like, hey, let's play some Call of Duty. Oh, we got to wait 8 hours to download it. Yeah, let's go to the bar instead. Yeah, no, you're not going to see that shit happen.
It's the time issue, guys. Like, how many times have we run into that where it's like, oh, we can't play this because I got to install updates or install this or download this, or even deleting. Like, the whole idea that, oh, I can just, you know, shuffle games in and out of my library, that takes time. You try, like, on a PS3, trying to delete, say, Super Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 4, which is like 18 gigs, that takes like a good 10 minutes, then another maybe 3 hours to download your game, then another half hour to install it. By the time the night's over.
I noticed when just a few times where I've deleted a game off there that I'm not necessarily playing to make room for something else. There's been points where it's been deleting, and I've been looking at it and going, did my PS3 just freeze? It almost seems that way. It's I don't know if it's something internally with the PS3, but it takes a while to remove it from the hard drive.
So where do we see this going, guys? Like, realistically, like, with all the proof that's in front of us, you know, there's both sides of the debate. What do you kind of see happening over the course of the 8th generation and into the 9th?
I see a lot of it going digitally, most definitely. I think that we're going to be going
with the rise of indies?
Yeah, we're going to be going into game stores, and we're going to be seeing shelves with cards on them instead of boxes. Or you might see a box with a card in it. And that'll be the end of it.
You know, it's something that I hope happens gradually, and I think it will. I'm hoping that it's not something that happens too abruptly. It's going to have to be a slow transition. And I'm thinking maybe 9th or 10th generation we'll see it completely go that way. And I'm personally not going to be too big of a fan of it, even though I know that's where it's going.
As a collector and as a person who loves their physical properties, I guess I'm a bit of a hoarder. I can't, you know, deny it. I see it going a couple of ways, okay? First of all, again, going across the states last summer, I saw a lot of little independent stores starting to pop up, and especially in shopping malls, which is huge, okay?
Yes.
You know, people love to just take a second and go and look at old NES games, and that's the thing. It's really good for the retro market, and I think that you know, if Nintendo and Sega are smart, maybe one day they'll start re-releasing cartridges in Walmart. I've been saying this for years. They should fucking put out like a new Nintendo, an NES, with maybe built-in games and that takes your cartridges. Yeah. Imagine that, man.
Built-in HD.
Dude, HDMI ports. You know, why let Retro N have all the fun? If Nintendo's so worried about the console wars, why don't they go backwards? Why don't they start like re-releasing N64s and select carts that they still own the rights to?
And that could attract some people who are reluctant or don't want to go to this totally digitally distributed market. I think hopefully more of those will pop up, because I guarantee you there are some people that either don't want to go that way or they're going to go down kicking and screaming. I personally am going to be one of them. That I personally don't want to have all my stuff digital because for many and obvious reasons, right? Because at least with physical versions of my games, I have direct control over where they are and where I can have them at what time. Whereas for example, like let's say I have like 75% of my games on the PlayStation Network, and let's say worst case scenario, Sony gets completely hacked and they lose all their stuff. Like some clever hacker comes along and fully hacks Sony. What's going to happen to all our digital stuff? It's going to be gone.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
All these great indie games that we can only get digitally, like Hotline Miami, for example, gone. What happens there? And that's my worry. But that's the thing. Like I don't see. Again, like the other way I want to see physical media going is, yes, we're going to see independent stores that are still going to carry those maybe more limited stock of games that come out on an actual disc. Like I don't think they'll disappear. It'll be more of like what Blu-rays have become now, where a limited amount come out and they don't get reprinted. You get them when they first come out, and if you don't, well, good luck on eBay. And that's the other direction. I think that we're slowly going to see the disappearance of game sections in, say, Walmart and Best Buy. Maybe not Walmart, but definitely Best Buy. I see it on the decline. Maybe Target's probably next. They're having troubles, and it's going to shift to Amazon.
Yep.
Where it's just sitting in a factory. Again, don't have to pay for a store. Don't have to pay for store employees. It's sitting in a factory, ship it, done. So that's where I see it, and that's really what's happened to Blu-ray now. If you want to get most Blu-rays, you have to go on Amazon, and you'll find them. It's not impossible to find these movies. Same with the games, even like games from the 7th generation that are rare now, you can still find them because they're sitting in a factory somewhere. But I think the days of going into just any old electronics store and finding games are like slowly coming to an end. I think you're going to have to go to special boutique shops.
We've seen it happen with every medium. The first example is music. When you go into Future Shop or Best Buy or something, the CD section of those stores is virtually gone, and you can see it happening with. It's really getting close with the DVD, especially DVD. Blu-ray is still, you can still find a majority of them for the most part, but especially DVDs, like just normal DVDs, they're really, really starting to get hard to find brand new in like a Best Buy or a Future Shop or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's only for the benefit of, again, these small retailers, because that's the thing. When you go into these stores, you're not only buying games, but you're buying merchandise and paraphernalia. So you're getting like the board game spin-offs. You're getting the Mario keychains, exactly. the trading cards, the T-shirts.
I foresee a big, once things go totally digital, with I think it'll probably be the 9th generation. It's already starting to now. There's going to be a huge resurgence in the retro consoles like the SNES and whatnot. I foresee that happening on a pretty big scale because there's, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to do like couch co-op and with that and not have to worry about digital stuff. I foresee that becoming an even bigger thing.
Yeah, it's going to be just like the resurgence of vinyl and music. I mean,
yes,
vinyl
huge.
disappeared,
Yes.
Pretty much when cassettes came in. And
Excellent point.
And now we got CDs dying out, and guess what? We see specialty stores popping up everywhere offering vinyl.
Oh, absolutely.
They have USB record
new
players
albums
now.
you can get.
Vinyl records are so it's vinyl records. Okay, it's gotten so huge now. And the one really cool thing with vinyl is like when I used to go and buy music is opening up and looking at the liner notes and like the art and stuff inside. And on vinyls you get a huge thing, and you get to look at some of the art that some of these musicians create and whatnot. And you don't get that. Getting to digital again when you buy music and stuff on iTunes, you don't get that.
No.
You just get the music on an MP3 file, and that's it. When you go and buy a vinyl CD, you're buying something physical that you can look at and go, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's like you buy you get like an old Beatles record, like say the White Album, and you get the posters and you get like
Exactly.
stickers and stuff, and even new bands. You go to like a Sunrise Records at any mall, you'll find like the latest Green Day album on vinyl. Green Day is actually really big for that, like releasing like special colored editions of their records. Like you can get these, and that's really where I'd like to kind of finish is the bridging between these two camps, like the physical and the digital, which I see happening in that sense where artists are directly offering physical merchandise to their fans or getting directly in connection with them. So it's like either through, like you're saying, giving specialty stuff. Like I can see some of the big AAA developers eventually, like maybe when Dark Souls 3 comes out, you know, like you can order a special edition off the website or something, but at the same time, just using that new direct connection. Look at like Goat Simulator. You know, you can order that right off the website, and that's it. There's no real middleman. It's like a direct relationship. It's not even like looking at Steam as the middleman. It's like a direct relationship between indie developers and gamers, and I think that's kind of a nice way to end off here, to just talking about maybe where that's kind of going, with indies and getting their stuff more easily into the hands of their fans.
Well, that's how Minecraft started. I mean, you went up
Absolutely.
to the website, you signed up, and you bought a copy right directly with Mojang, and look at how big that game has become.
And Team Meat's another good example of this. They sell a lot of the T-shirts and the kind of Meat Boy related memorabilia and stuff. And like Mike said, I think we're going to see a lot of this coming from like the actual, and I think mainly from these independent developers, that they're going to offer these special kind of things that you can buy directly from them.
Oh, be creative about it. Like if you're gonna make a game that's say like an NES tribute, say like Retro City Rampage was, go that extra step. Start looking into these cartridge makers that are out there right now that are actually making new NES games. I hear about one of them a month, at least, a new NES game or a new Dreamcast game that's being made. There are people who know how to manufacture these things. Get that to your fans. If you're not making money off of digital sales, well, think outside the box. Like what Joe's saying, offer merch, offer T-shirts, special edition Blu-ray copy of the game that works on your PS4 or something like that. Do something outside the box and get more of like a legendary kind of aura around your product.
Yeah, you go into like any EB Games and you see plushies, you know, all over the wall. I mean, it's
getting back to Minecraft. Look at what they're making hand over fist with those shitty cardboard cutout heads that you could easily paint yourself on a construction project. But no, you're shelling out $30, maybe $20 for this cardboard cutout Minecraft Steve head or this foam pickaxe and stuff. I mean, like, you know, I'm not going to speak about the pricing, but again, it works. People are buying this stuff. They're making money off of it. And look at Angry Birds, man. Look at the phenomenon with that.
Yeah.
So again, it's just, you know what? It's with indies, I think they have that freedom to be able to decide how they want to market their product to their audience. And like I said, like with Goat Simulator, you know, really just get into that direct, buy it right off of our website, bang, no middleman, we get the money, you know that it's going to us. And I like that. So that's really one of the positive things about the digital future. But I think that the physical future still needs to be there, A, while the infrastructure is getting caught up to our needs.
Yes.
And B, just for the people who want something bigger than the game itself. And like I'm saying, you know, having the posters, T-shirts, and all that fun stuff. So, any other last words, guys, before we wrap up this roundtable? Any advice you'd give to the gaming industry as to what you'd like to see with this debate happening?
I'd like to see copies of each come out still. I mean, yeah, you want to put out the digital, that's great. Put out the digital, give us a $10 discount on it because we're not paying for all that packaging. And you know what, still bring out physical copies. You know, like we were saying earlier, you know, yeah, make them limited, but still get them out there for those that collect the games.
What I want to see is, I've mentioned this in a different kind of way before, but when it's come to other topics that we've talked about, for these game developers, listen to what gamers actually want. Don't force this era upon us if we're not quite ready for it yet. Listen to what gamers are telling you and bring things out at the appropriate time. If most of us still want a lot of this physical stuff, keep it going for a little while longer. Don't just listen to what's going on, and don't force and don't tell us what we want.
And stop having this amnesia attitude towards history where you forget why SimCity went wrong, why Battlefield 4 went wrong, why SOCOM 4 got lost in the mix because of network issues, okay, because of an infancy of our network. Like, we're really in the beginning stages of like online gaming. You know, we act like it's been around for years, but really we're still not at the point where it works on like a global scale with all these different people on your friends list from all these different regions, all these different bandwidths. We're still not quite there. I mean, especially if these companies like EA and Microsoft want to work on a global scale like they're trying to do now in all regions, well, then they need to wait till those regions catch up to their lofty ambitions.
Exactly.
All right, so that's been another jam-packed episode of Roundtable, episode 5, talking about digital distribution versus physical media, and I think we can safely say that we found a way for the two to coexist, but hopefully, that really just comes up to the developers and publishers to actually listen to what their fans want, and things happen. But that's the thing, people who are listening to this, they are listening, okay? When you contribute to forums, Jay can talk about this. Well, maybe not too much, but but Jay can attest to this that your voice does get heard and it can affect change. So and use your voice.
Yes, exactly. And this is one particular episode where I want to see more people watch us comment about. And I'm hoping that I'm hoping this will be a good topic to debate about. Feel free to, as always, comment below our video, below the link in our please comment and let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, make sure you throw a like on and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Share it on Facebook. Get the word out. And let's keep this debate going.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to thank our special guest, Jay Couture of Recoil Gaming Network, and my co-host, Joe Morin, Mike Frisios, and make sure you subscribe to the Joystick Justice League on YouTube for more content, including our other shows like Rage Quitters, Battle Arena, so on and so forth. Lots of good stuff, especially on Recoil Gaming Network and our blogs. You can check those out. So, Mike Frisios.
I'm Joe Morin.
I'm Jake Couture.
And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Game on, guys.